Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Yes. Let's stand for the moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the moment of silence. Thank you very much. First item on the agenda is our public hearing of the 24-25 general fund budget. Ms. Johnson.
Technology, you gotta love it.
Trying to get there.
Chairman Gaskins, board members, Mr. Price, we're here today to present the 24-25 general fund budget to you and the public for consideration. Excuse me. At the conclusion of the presentation of PowerPoint, we will ask you to vote to approve the general fund budget of $117.4 million in revenues and expenditures. I'd like to just take a moment to thank you and Mr. Price and our team, which is district-wide, for the support and the input during the budget process. It takes teamwork to bring this to the board and implement it in July, so we appreciate all the help. On page 3 is your top 5 priorities, actually 6, because we had a tie for first. Today's budget will address and does address all of your priorities, as you'll see as we move through it. The school priorities on page 4, if it's printed in green, we were able to include it and fund it. If it's red, it was not funded. So you can see that this slide and the next 2 will represent what we were able to take care of this year and what we were not. And we were able to take care of about 2/3 of all the requests that were made. And these were the district priorities. And then the next page is the items we were able to implement by using other funding sources or reallocating current expenditures. We still do not have a state budget, so we are going with what we know now. If there are significant changes once that budget's passed, we'll update you and then recommend any amendments that we feel may be needed. But tonight, I keep saying tonight, today, the tax levied and fees in lieu of taxes, the increase of that $3,989,500 million increase, the new taxes are $2,389,500, and that is an additional 5.9 mils. That added to the current 121.1 mils will make our millage 127 for operating. The balance, that also though, this does include the district putting in $2 million of general fund balance to help offset the increases that we had this year. We'll have to address that next year, either as included in the budget or using fund balance again to keep that. But that is, we were able to take some of our savings and allocate it toward this budget. The state money, the additional monies are state aid to classrooms and additional Tier 3 funds. The transfers from EIA include EIA state aid to classrooms. So that's our revenue. The next one is a pie chart that just shows you where all the money comes from. Of course, the largest amount is the property taxes at 45.4, and then the next largest is the classroom state aid, state restricted grants of 31.6%. This is just a projected breakdown of expenditures in the different groupings. There will be some movement between salaries and fringes and purchase services, because we do need to contract with some of our employees, teachers, speech therapists, that kind of thing. So rather than we have positions allocated, but we may have to move those to cover the actual contracts for those purchase services. That is an 8.5% increase over last year's budget. And that would be our expenditure budget of $117.4 million. And then the next slides are the ones that you have been seeing. The increases to teacher salaries, $2,500 per step, the teacher step, the bus driver increase in steps, and the increase that the district will have to pay for group health insurance starting in January. The additional mandated increases are the charter school increase, some additional fees and contracted services and utilities. We've added a new pre-K class at Waccamaw Elementary School for special services, an OT for special services, and we've taken a paraprofessional that was in ESSER at Andrews Elementary and moved that position to Sampit Elementary. And the next slide are the items that you all considered before this date for the for college and career readiness coaches at the high schools and the interventionists for the elementary and middle. We've also included the district practice-related increases, which is an additional teacher for growth, increase to the nurse salary scale, step and increases for administrators and classified scales, and increase the hourly rate from $14 to $14.49 for classified staff as the lowest hourly rate. We've included the Waccamaw High School ROTC salaries, as well as the reading coach at Waccamaw and a Carvers Bay High School custodian. The next group is the largest is the 3.5% increase to all classified scales, and the admin scale increased by 2%. And then you can see we've added days and supplements and made everything the $14.49 base hourly pay. So this is our breakdown of expenditures projected. 87.2% is salaries and benefits. 7.3% is purchase services. 3.1% supplies, and other is 2.4%. So the majority of our budget is in people. The general fund balance, we've projected an unassigned fund balance at the end of this year of $21 million. That, the number of days of our new year budget, if you approve it, that would cover would be 65 days, or the equivalent of 18% of that budget. And that does exclude the charter school. They're reported separately. And just to give you some insight as to the federal programs, the larger ones, what we do with that money and how it blends with the general fund, we've got Ms. Gina Smith to come and do Title I, and we'll let her have it from here.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Good afternoon, Chairman Gaskin, Superintendent Price, board members. On behalf of myself and the Innovations in Special Programs, we want to thank you this year for your support. As we look at our Title I funding, we have had a decrease this year, a little over $200,000. We've actually added an extra school to our Title I eligibility, which is Georgetown High School, in addition to 3 private schools, which is AMI, Mingo Creek, and also Georgetown School of the Arts and Sciences. So as you can see, 69% of the funding goes towards salaries. We have 6 teachers for class size reduction, 3 interventionists, we have 6 instructional coaches, those are in our middle and high schools, 2 parent liaisons, that's at Georgetown High, they'll be having one this year, and also Andrews High. District support staff, that's our district social worker, and of course we have to include funding for our sub-salaries. 4% of our allocation is put towards parenting supplies, about 11% towards instructional supplies, less than 1% for foster care supplies, less than 1% for McKinney-Vento, that's for homeless students, 10% for professional development, less than 1% for private schools, and then 5% for our indirect cost. Are there any questions about Title I funding? Okay, as we move to Title II, this is for teacher quality, and not just teacher quality, also it provides professional development for our administrators, whether it's principals, coaches, assistant principals, and of course our teachers. 20% of those funds are allocated to a salary, which now is being housed at Waccamaw Middle School for class size reduction, 68% towards our conferences, which includes travel and registrations, and also some consulting fees, 4% for our private schools, 2% for Montessori, and 6% for indirect cost. Are there any questions? Okay, next, moving on to Title III. This is preliminary because we will not receive the actual funding until around October. But this year we had about $32,000, a little over $32,000, which we used for after-school tutoring. Because the funds were limited and we're also piloting a program at Georgetown High, we were unable to provide our normal summer program, but they are being integrated into our general population as far as Georgetown County School District's summer offerings. We also provide professional development with those funding and also instructional supplies. The actual personnel, as you can see, is funded through local. So we have 6 teachers. We have one multilingual coach, and she also teaches 2 days at Georgetown High School. We are anticipating about 418 students, and we have a part-time interpreter. Okay. Next, we move on to Title IV. Our last pot of money. This year, our Title IV funds also decreased. It was about $30,000. And this is broken up into 3 pots. We have 68% going towards well-rounded education, where we provide consultants through SRAB, state conferences, and also we provided summer planning for our teachers. 6% for technology, which also includes professional development, and 8% for safe and healthy schools, which includes our obvious bullying and also our A platform. 3% for private schools and 5% for indirect cost. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take CTE, I guess. Administrative cost. This is our professional development for teachers, mostly salary and benefits. There are 3 paraprofessionals and a piece of the director's salary that are included in the federal CTE money. Then we have state funding for salaries and benefits, the work-based learning coordinator, making schools work, state purchase services, and industry certification funding. And I think Dr. Green's here for hers.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gaskins, Superintendent Price, and board members. On behalf of the Special Services Department, between the years of 2022-2023 and this current year, our funds did increase slightly from IDEA. However, we will not have the exact numbers until late fall. So based on what we have so far, you can tell that out of our IDEA funds, we spend the bulk of those in salaries and benefits, which comes up to 82%, and it covers a few teachers, some instructional assistants, and some other needed professionals to help make our department run. 12% goes towards purchase services. That includes things like some of our contract employees, as well as some licenses. 5% goes to supplies. And 2% of our funds go to charter schools, and 5% is indirect costs. We also received funds also from preschool, and it was a slight increase over the past 2 years. However, once again, we will not know the exact amount we will receive until late fall. 92% goes towards salaries, which includes an instructional assistant and 1 psychologist, who 5% is also indirect costs. Our Medicaid funds, as you can see, there is a difference between the past 2 years. However, with the funds we do have, it covers nurse supplement, stipends. It did cover stipends for this current year for some nurses, OTs, PTs, RBHS, SLPs, and some of our additional AEAs, our Medicaid clerk, as well as full-time autism support, 1 occupational therapist, part of the RBHS salaries for 3 of our employees, a temporary bilingual interpreter, and it also covers some of our bus drivers and aides. Good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. We appreciate it. Any questions? We're moving on. This is time for our public comments, but we have no one who is registered for public comments. So now for the adoption of the agenda, is there a motion that we approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved, and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Our agenda is approved. Upon completion of the public hearing, administration recommends approval for the adoption of the 2024-2025 general fund budget in the amount of $117,402,920. Is there a motion to move this forward?
So moved.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The budget is approved. Now it's time for any comments or requests. Yes, Ms.
I would
Hamill.
just like to say thank you for a job well done. It's really
Yes.
difficult to find places to pay for all of the things that we need. And I hope our public knows that every dollar that we spend, that we want it to go to children. And it's as closely aligned to that in this budget as we have all the time presented. So thank you, team, and thank you for sharing exactly where the money comes from and where it goes. And we know that the money will be well used, and we look forward to the state helping us with more money as we move forward to be able to follow through with their mandates as well.
Thank you. Good work. Very good. Anything else? Ms. Smith, I'd like to thank you for your service to this school district. You will definitely be missed. We wish you the best. Hopefully you'll come back one day. All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you.